Good evening, Zimbabwe. Good evening, Africa. Respect your host on Farm TV Africa. Today on Agronomic Expert Live, we are privileged to have a passionate and hardworking young farmer all the way from Kenya. David, can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
My name is, as you heard from Mr. Respect, I'm a MasterCard scholar studying at Earth University, Costa Rica. I'm taking agronomy, which is one of the very big branches of agriculture. Today we are going to talk about African soil, how knowing our soil and testing it will be very important in order to take our agriculture to the next step.
Oh, thank you so much, David, for the introduction. So what we are going to do, David, go straight to your presentation and tell our viewers on the importance of soils to African agriculture. Then after that, we go for a question and answer session after your presentation. So you can go ahead and do your presentation.
Okay. Okay. Today is a privilege to have people and wherever you are in Africa. Now we are really interested in what is really agriculture and its impact in Africa, and how we can take this agriculture to the next level. So with me, I'm going to talk about testing the African soil, which will be the main important reason as to why I prepared this for us, is to know how we can know our soil better in order to optimize the production in agriculture. That is very important because we know what really soil is for us, and that makes me to move on the next slide, which is what is really soil to us. And we can see that soil is the important natural resource that we have on Earth. This is where the foundation of life on Earth, actually, whereby we have a lot of resources on it, a lot of more resources on it, and that's where we plant and grow crops. More specifically, when we talk about agriculture, and these crops are supported by different components that the soil have, whereby we have the organic matter, the mineral matter, air, water, with different proportions. And those are the things that through the interaction, they make the plant to grow and to produce, and so that we have enough for ourselves. It is also important to know that soil is alive. Soil can contain up to 1 billion bacteria, a spoonful of soil, and other organisms. So in order to keep it live, we also need to treat it the same way we are live. We need to feed, and we need to keep ourselves. So it is important to know our soils and to have a clear glimpse of what really this soil has in order to keep it. So let's go to the next one. Why do we need soil? That's one of the very essential questions that we need to ask ourselves. We need soil because, like on Earth, we have 13 billion hectares of land, which is actually whereby 12% of it is only used for agriculture. This is because soil has been depleted when we talk about that, and there's a rapid increase of what we call the capital cities and urbanization. So the land whereby we have soil for agriculture is very limited. So when we look at the 12% over the total land mass that we have, that calls for us to take care of our soil. So fertile and healthy soil is very essential to agriculture and food security. That's why we are getting into this topic. And when we talk about that, let us talk about the value of the soil, whereby we keep losing soil each and every time. And it takes 10 centimeters of buildup of soil, it takes almost 2,000 years for soil formation, up to only 10 centimeters. So it is important. And when we lose that soil every day, for each and every person, it costs us $70. That is according to the statistics from the FAO. And that per year for every person is over $490 billion. So we need to be very careful on what we do to our soils. Okay, let us talk about our African soil, most particularly, because that is our point of interest. So Africa is a continent of diverse soils. That's very important to know. And that's why we are talking about knowing each and every part of our soils and why it is important for us. So when we talk about that, we're talking about Africa having different soils because of its different climatic conditions and different ways in which the soil was formed. So it is very, very important as farmers. Generally, we are talking about farmers who are still coming up and the use in agriculture. So it is important to know that the soil in Africa, in each part of Africa, is really different. So let us know why we need to plant this type of crop according to where we come from and what happened to that soil, or what is the parent rock, or what made this soil to be the way it is. So first, we need to know that we have different types of soil. We have diversity of soils in Africa. Also, the soil moisture. When we talk of Africa, we talk of a lot of the amount of moisture present plays a great role in Africa soil formation. Very, very much important. Why? Because we have the biggest part of Africa being affected by Sahara Desert and the Kalahari Desert. So the red parts that you see, those are the Sahara and the Kalahari Desert. So soil moisture is one of the very important components of soil, and we need to take care of it, because it is by soil moisture that the plants can be able to absorb the nutrients. And it is important to know that over 86% of the African moisture is stressed. So we only have now, you can imagine the percentage that we are remaining with. We are remaining with only 14% for us to take care of. And also we need to take into consideration the 86%. So it is up to us farmers to know what it is that we need to do. Okay, the primary types of soils in Africa, if I may say, we have aridi soils. As you can see, we have aridi soils, and I will mainly talk about aridi soil because when you look at, that is the biggest part of Africa where this type of soil is dominating, the aridi soils and the empty soils. So these are soils that if they are not taken care of, if we don't know really what these soils contain, we will have a lot of stress, and we will not be able to produce, and we will keep on blaming ourselves why we are not producing well. Yet the problem is not because the soils are bad, it's because we don't know really what we need to do to our soils. So it is very, very important that we need that we get to know that because of the diversity and because of the dominance of the two types of soils that we have in Africa, that is the aridi soils and the empty soils, which are soils that are found mainly in the deserts. And we say 86% of Africa is being affected by desertification. So it is very, very important that we get to know what are we going to do to our soils so that we optimize the production. So generally, that was all about the African soil. Now let us talk about the soil testing, which is a part that calls attention for a lot of African farmers. So what is soil testing? This is whereby you want to determine the availability of nutrients, which is a very important component the availability of nutrients and that one will tell us what we will do to our soil, which fertilizer will you apply, which management practices will we do to our soils. So first of all, we need to know, after soil testing, we need to know what is deficient in the soil, what is sufficient. Do we have toxicity in the soil? Okay, what are we expecting after we plant our soils? So let us keep on. Another thing we're going to talk about, okay, why is it important to test the soil? Those are the questions that come up, and those are the questions that we were discussing with some of the friends and other farmers. So why is it really important to do the soil testing? Because we want to determine the availability of nutrients in the soil. That's very important. If you know what is there in the soil, you know what you need to add, exactly what you need to add without putting in more or putting in less. You estimate the crop response to the nutrient addition. Very, very important. For the same reason. You record the long-term soil fertility trend. You know your soil better. You can know what your soil also is lacking and the trend under which your soil has been fluctuating, up or high, up, down. So you can know what to do really. It helps in problem solving. How? When you know your soil, you will know how to create a good plan for your land. You will know what am I going to do to my land, and what is it that I need to, like the management practices. How will I do the tilling of my land? Because that's one of the very important aspects. Later on, we will see what we test in the soil so that we do this. You also generate nutrient recommendations. Look, for the farmers, if you know very well what your soil is having, you will know, according to the nutrient requirement of the soil, what you need to add to the soil, or what you need to give a certain plant according to what the plant needs in order to maximize the production. Also, to make financial decisions, very much important. When you make a soil test, as I said before, you will have what we call the site-specific application in your land. You will know exactly where to apply and where not to apply the fertilizer and everything that you need to do to your land. Also, it is important when you are doing soil sampling. Now, soil sampling is taking the samples from your land according to the main objectives, what you want to know from your soil. So, consistently take samples from the depth. That is now the technical part of it. It is recommended by FAO that you take the sample from the depth of 6 inches. Why? Because that's the general depth whereby the plant's roots grow and they absorb the macronutrients. Macronutrients are the nutrients that the plants need to survive, like they need in large quantities. Generally, they are the NPK, the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So it is very important to know that the approximate depth of historical tillage is also very important when you are doing the soil sampling. These are the general knowledge that each farmer should have in order to know their soil very well. So you should know the machines that you use, the depth that you use during tillage, so that you know very well, when I'm going to sample, what am I going to, which depth am I going to sample? Okay. Also, other questions that we received from the farmers was the number of samples, of soil samples that they need. Okay, this is very important when you are doing the mapping, soil mapping, whereby you need to know, because of your land, maybe your land might be a bit diverse. Let's talk about maybe one part is a bit more of sandy soil, another one a bit more of loamy soils or clay soil, or because of the topographical difference of your land, that gives you how you are going to sample your land. So the number of composite samples submitted to the lab depends on the management areas. When I talk of management areas is what I generally said before. The topographical difference of your land. How do you divide your land, or which crop do you grow? So from there you can know how many samples, how many composite samples am I going to take. 15 to 20 samples for each composite sample. When we talk about composite sample, is each management area, you take a lot of sub-samples and then you mix them to make a composite sample that will give you the details about your soil and what really your soil needs. A number of composite samples may depend on the field variability. As I said before, field variability is generally the differences that you have in your field. That might have an effect on the soil formation, how the soil was formed in each and every part of your management area. Also, identify the management zones. Very, very, very much important. Know where specifically we have the difference exactly. Like if you have a lowland, where is the highland of your land? So that is very important because it's going to give you the main aim or the main objective as to why you really need to do the soil testing. GPS and precision application equipment make it possible. When I talk about precision equipment, we're talking about things like time domain reflectometry, which are very important because they give you in real time the different conditions of your soil, like the volumetric water. They give you the pH water when you talk about the pH meter, and then we have a lot of this equipment that you need to get exposed to. How often should you sample? That was another question that we were asked. It is recommended that every year until a history is established. You need to keep sampling each and every time. Keep sampling your land so that you get a historical trend of how the nutrients are getting depleted and how you recuperate those nutrients each and every year. Generally recommended 3 to 4 years. That's when you will have a real historical trend. Preparing soil samples. Okay, so we were asked what should people base on, like why, how should you know, like what should you base on when you are preparing soil samples? So first and foremost, what we discussed about is you should know your objectives, because when you know what you want, it will be easier for you. You go to the lab and you tell them what exactly is the problem, and then they will get to know how to do it. And let me tell you, in Africa, we have a lot of these laboratories and we don't use them because people don't want to invest into the soil. Is an invest. You need to invest into it in order to get out what you want. So you need to know first in order to do whatever you want. Like it is like your health. If you go to the hospital and then the doctor does the test, they will know what exactly they will give you. They will know how to treat you. The same thing with the soil. When we know what the soil is having, the deficiencies, we will know exactly how to treat it. So, and then we recommend the combined samples, sub-samples into a composite sample. So when you're preparing that, you need to take different management areas, get as many sub-samples as possible into a composite sample in order to get the general information of your land. Where to send your samples? We were asked the same question. So first of all, we talked about objective, and then what is important to you? What what information is important to you? Also, tests. Okay, when you are doing the test, you need to know the cost, because you need to do the tests that are cost effective. You need to know when I'm going to do this. So how am I? How much is it going to be? How much is it going to cost me? And most of the time, these tests are not very like expensive, if I may say. They are cost effective. So, and we have also some government programs that are giving out that are being like in Kenya, if I may say, we have some government programs under extension services whereby they come, they take your soil, and then they go, they do the testing, and then they bring you back the information. The thing is, the information they bring us, we don't know even how to use it. So it is very important to follow up and know how to use the information. Also, what we were asked is what generally is being tested, and that okay, that one just calls for us, like that means we have not been doing our soil tests in Africa, because these are questions that were obtained from farmers. So the soil pH and the soil pH is very important to your soil, because you get to know the acidity of the soil. How acidic is your soil? Because acidic soils, as we know, for farmers who do a lot of intensive cultivation, soil pH is a very important component, because when you know the acidity of the soil, you know how will you correct it according to the crop that you are planting. Also, infiltration capacity, which is very important, because we have soils which hold more water, and according to that, you can know how to do drainage, which type of irrigation, if the soil need irrigation, are you going to use. The soil porosity, complete chemical analysis. When I talk about complete chemical analysis, we are talking about the nutrient value of the soil. We are talking about the magnesium, those elements that that the plants need in order to grow. Also, we have the soil salinity, which is very important. The amount of soil of salts in your soil, the organic matter, which is a component whereby without it in the soil we will lack a lot of, because most of these things that we are seeing, they are directly dependent on organic matter. The soil compaction. If the soil is too much compact, the plant will not be able to penetrate the roots. Very basic. The soil moisture. And the instruments you are seeing down here, the basic instruments that are used during the soil mapping and soil testing. Okay, key tips. The largest source of error in soil testing usually results from not obtaining representative samples. These sample errors are often due to soil variability, as we said before. It is important to do composite samples in order to get the general information, or to get the real-time information about your soil. So with that, we are seeing the different types of soil sampling here. We have the zigzag, whereby it's the random one, and we have the extensive one, the grid one. The grid one is generally used when people are trying, when you have big extensions of land, but we generally advise people to use the zigzag one when you have small pieces of land, because of the cost. And with that also, we are going to talk about the key advantages of testing farm soil. The key advantages, whereby we had to repeat this because it was the main question each and everybody was asking. Okay, soil testing, if I may repeat, it informs the farmer of the current health of the farm soil and how to improve it. Very, very much important. Soil test leads to minimization of fertilizer expenditure. As I said before, when you are doing this, you get to know exactly what you're going to put into your land, and the number of the amount of money you will be able to do an Excel, or you will be able to plan for your soil. Also, it is important to know that soil testing results in limited over-fertilization. Over-fertilization leads to toxicity of the soil. So it is important. We will not give the plant. We say too much of something is poisonous. So we will not give a plant too much that it doesn't need. When you take too much, it becomes a poison for you. Farmers can easily avoid soil degradation. Very much important, because when you do soil testing, you know the main ways whereby you can do the conservation. You can know how to do the minimum tillage. You can know whatever we're talking about, when you are not giving your soil too much in order to so that it cannot become toxic. It is it's basically important, because that's part of soil conservation. Farmers with fertile soil can contribute to feeding the world's growing population, and specifically in Africa, whereby we have a lot of potential soils, but we are producing less. And let me tell you that most of the countries that are now stable agriculturally, they are found mostly in Sahara Desert, beginning with Tunisia and Egypt, which are the countries that are very stable in agriculture. When you look at the main, what they do generally is they know their soil very well and they know how to manage them. So it is very important to put into consideration that soil testing is one of the, apart from the other technology like precision agriculture, soil testing is one of the key factors that is going to help us grow our agriculture very well. Fertilizer recommendations, when you go to the lab, because this was another issue that came up, are based on two general approaches. Fertilizing the soil, you may be told to fertilize the soil, you might be told to fertilize the crop. But it is important that when you do the soil testing, they tell you which fertilizer, because when you see the graph, due to soil testing, you will know which one is giving you, which one is the low one, at which point of the graph, because these are the graphs that are normally produced after the soil testing. At which range is the low, which one is the optimum, and which one is high and very high. When we talk about very high, we talk about toxicity. So it is very important and to know our soil very well. And generally, after soil testing, it is important to fertilize your soil. Fertilizing the soil before the crop, because with that you expect long-term growth of your soil, and also you get a better thing. So with that, we will welcome questions if they are there, and keep on.
Thank you so much, David, for such an informative and in-depth presentation. And David, I can say you are an inspiration to Africa, an inspiration to your country. Yeah, keep on doing great and keep on working towards ensuring a food and poverty-free Africa. To our viewers, we give you this opportunity to send your comments through our social media platforms. Farm TV Africa, Facebook, on my personal Facebook account, Spectrum Siwa, and also on David Sunday Facebook page. And David, I have a couple of questions for you here, my brother. What you were presenting is too technical and in-depth. How can we package this good information so that a smallholder farmer, a poor smallholder farmer in Masai in Kenya, or in Mzarabani, or in Binga in Zimbabwe can make use of such information and enhance their productivity and ensure food security and income security?
Okay, the thing is, first of all, if I'm not wrong, we have what we call the extension services in different countries. Me being the Kenyan setting, we have a lot of extension agronomists going around and giving advice. Another thing is the farmers are not very open to listen to the advice, because first of all, what they are being told is a lot of information that is coming from the lab, or very technical, and to embrace that. That's what I've seen before. So the thing is to have an open mind as a farmer, to listen to the new technologies that are getting into agriculture and trying them. The thing is, if you don't try, you don't see you will never see what we call the results. So my advice to the farmers is to have confidence to the people who come to them, that want them to increase their product or to improve on what they are producing. So have trust, try new technologies, and let us see if everything works. So our extension is very important.
Yeah, thank you so much for a wonderful answer. And you also talked about the impact of desertification, and you said that almost 80%, 86% of the soils in Africa are stressed up. And you pointed desertification is one of the main factor contributing to that. And can you relate that? Can we relate that to climate change and other poor soil management techniques that our farmers are towards that high percentage?
Yeah, totally. That is part of climate change. When we talk about climate change, there's the change in a lot of climatic conditions. One of it producing the desert, and we know Africa is being faced by a bigger problem, which is desertification. And as we saw, actually 86 is a big percentage. So that is part of climate change, and the only way we can deal with climate change is adapting to it. So one of the ways to adapt to it is to know how to get ourselves through it.
Okay.
And getting ourselves through it these are the solutions that are coming up, because we have a lot of organizations like NASA who come up with a lot of information that doesn't reach the farmers too. So it is up to us, those who have the opportunity to reach this information, to go interior to the most rural areas and talk to the farmers and tell them how to adapt to this.
So my brother, you mean soil testing and soil nutrient management can be another way for climate change adaptation and building the resilience of smallholder farmers to climate change?
Exactly. Why? Because when you test your soil, you know a lot of things about it, and you even know the soil moisture content of your soil. So when you know the soil moisture content of your soil, you do what we call the irrigation plan or programming. So when you do that, that's another way of adapting to climate change. Because if we have the desert and it keeps growing, but we still need to produce, so there might be a way, there should be a way for us to combat that. And through that, I feel like when we do the soil testing, we really know what our soils are lacking, and putting into the context of climate change, we will know how we will manage our soils. And with that, I'll just talk about irrigation. So you will know if my soil is lacking this. And as we know, moisture content in the soil is very important for plant growth because of the nutrient uptake and everything. So you will know how to manage the moisture content of your soil through irrigation. And by that, obviously, you will increase you will optimize your production.
Okay. You also talked about soil sampling and soil mapping. What is the difference between the two, soil mapping and soil sampling?
Okay, mapping is knowing the your geographical area very well, where your land is. Let's talk about it like this way. When you're doing soil mapping, it's different. Soil sampling is into soil mapping. Soil sampling is just part of soil mapping, because soil mapping is the bigger picture. Soil mapping, you will do a lot of things on your soil. Whereby you will go around taking the GPS points of your soil, the limits of your soil, and with that you can go down and produce through different programs like Fuji's in kriging and all that, and come up with different different limits of the conditions of your soil. So I say soil mapping is in a famous language, soil mapping is the bigger part of soil sampling. So soil sampling, you do the samples inside the soil mapping when you are taking the soil maps. So in points of your land, you will get, when you do the mapping, you will know the management areas. As I said before, you will know which part of my land is higher, which part of my land is lower. You will also know the management units. You will know this place I normally grow this, and the other place I grow this. So with that, you can now go down into soil sampling now.
Okay.
Now you come down and you start.
And my brother, sorry to cut you short. Is such technology applicable to Africa, and can our smallholder farmers be able to adopt such technology and use them in their fields? Isn't it too costly for a normal smallholder farmer to do this?
Okay. First of all, there's nothing that is not costly. Everything costs something. And for you to get what you want, you need to put something, you need to put some effort in it. And some of this effort, we talk about the cost of whatever you get. So it is very, very much important for a farmer not to look at the cost, but to look at the result. Yeah, look at the result, and will this result give you back what you are going to put in? Definitely yes. For me, I never look down upon Africa because I know the potential of Africa. I'm from Africa, and that's one of the things we need to know. We have too much that we don't use. That's very, very cool. And we have too much of these laboratories but we don't use them. We don't embrace their presence. We don't want to use them. We fear, actually. So me, I would not say that a smallholder farmer.
So my brother, you are blaming us African farmers to say we are not using the resources that we have. So you are putting
For me, I will say, I don't know, but in my case, I will say that because I've seen the extensionists, like extension officers coming, and whenever they say after that, nothing happens, nothing, no one follows up. Okay, sometimes also, maybe the extensionists come up with a very technical terms or something like that. So it is a ball, like it's something that it needs to be discussed, seriously. Yeah.
I get you. And the question, it's like when we buy fertilizers from shops, with packaging written certain percentages, some chemical symbols, and what's the meaning of that, and how can you relate that to soil sampling and soil nutrient management?
Okay. The percentages you see, they are called that show the efficiency of your fertilizer. So if the efficiency of your fertilizer, according to what they use to fill up the fertilizer, they will tell you maybe this fertilizer's efficiency is 86%, this fertilizer's efficiency is 50%. So you need to buy fertilizer because I believe everything is possible. When you have a well-planned soil management, a good plan for soil management, you will know exactly, as I said, you will know what we call the site-specific application. So that will let you know which fertilizer, and it is very basic. What you are asking me, Mr. Respect. So because you cannot go to the shop and you want to buy like the ammonium phosphate, and you really don't know what the ammonium phosphate has. So if you are a farmer, when you go to the shop, after doing soil testing, they will tell you a soil is lacking this. It has deficiency so and so fertilizer. So it is your duty now. You go to the shop, you present whatever they have given you in form of a receipt or something, and then they will tell you this fertilizer has this fertilizer has this. And the good thing with soil testing, okay, it gives you exactly what you are going to apply at a specific part of your farm. So according to the efficiency of the fertilizer, those are the numbers that you see on the percentage and different symbols there. So the shop should tell you what those means if you really want to know, because most of us, we just go and buy and then we don't ask, which is very important for you to ask. You need to know what the fertilizer is having, what is the efficiency, because some fertilizers have very low efficiency. So you might buy the same sack 100 kgs, but the efficiency is different. One might buy the one for 50, another one might buy the one for like more than 50. So it is very important to know that. So
Okay, so man, do you think fertilizer wholesalers and retailers also have a role to play in terms of informing our farmers on the meaning of those percentages? Because too many times I just go to a shop, I just buy my fertilizer, and there's no explanation, and I don't know what is written there. So, do they have any role to play in terms of disseminating information to our farmers?
definitely. That's why if you go to a pharmacy and you say, I want, if it's a good, if we have a good pharmacist there, they will ask you what is wrong, because you cannot just go and say, I want syrup or I want chloroquine. They
I
will
get
ask
you.
you, hey, what is wrong?
I get
Or
you.
I want poison. So they should ask you, what are you going to kill? Because you might be going to kill yourself. So
I
a
get
good those retailers that you're talking about, when a farmer goes like blindly, like they go there to buy fertilizer, they should ask them, what are you going to apply? And most of these sites normally have recommendations, if I'm not wrong. I've seen many of that, but the good recommendation comes from the seller, whereby they will explain to you this is for this, because also we have fertilizers that are very specific to different crops. So this is for this is how you apply it. And for example, when you're talking about irrigation, you might be talking about fertilizers that are not compatible. So
Okay.
there you buy different fertilizers, you mix them, they will not work for you. So it is very important also for the retailers, fertilizer retailers and sellers generally, to explain to the farmer what they need, what they need to do. Yeah.
Thank you so much, David, for this wonderful session. And my one last question, please be honest on this one.
Uh-huh.
If you were to meet Uhuru Kenyatta, the president of Kenya, or
Uh-huh.
invited to Zimbabwe to meet the Zimbabwean president, and looking at your experience right now, we are in Costa Rica at the university. You now have another view of things. What would you say to them considering feeding Kenya and feeding Zimbabwe?
That we have more than enough, but we don't really, first of all, we don't embrace it. And agriculture is, as they say in any part of the world, agriculture is the backbone. And me being in Costa Rica is a very small country, but what it produces as an agricultural level, I feel like we have more than enough in our countries to produce. Only that, first of all, we don't use it, and we see agriculture in another angle. So
So in another, like to summarize what you are saying, so you say we lack leadership in terms of agricultural development in Africa, in terms of utilizing the resources that we have, or are you blame also the leadership to say they are not being efficient in use of resources, or maybe you're putting the blame on farmers and also looking at your experience here in Costa Rica?
okay. The thing is, okay, we don't have to do what we call the blame game. No, no, no. The thing is, it is time to look for solutions. So we need to know where we went wrong. But if we start the blame game, a blame game takes like 20 years or 50 years. You're blaming each other. But the thing is to look for the best options or the best solutions ever. So investing more in agriculture will be one of the very important things. And
Thank you so much, Deputy, for your time, and I think our viewers are and we are going to keep inviting you on our program so that we can share and exchange knowledge and information with our farmers so that they can enhance their productivity and we ensure African food security and income security. To our viewers, thank you so much for being with us on our Agronomic Expert Live. Continue to encourage you to tune into all our programs and let's come together, let's discuss, let's share information, and we work together towards feeding Africa and developing our economies. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you too. It was a pleasure to be having you.
Thank you, David.